So we all love America. We all did the pledge. But there seems to be a problem that's going on in America today. We just identified what makes America great. But let's talk about maybe what's sort of going on here in America today. Here's some stats for you. Only 19% believe that life will be better for their children, which is a record low, okay? 36% of Americans believe that hard work guarantees success. 36%, that's down from 53% in 2012. So people don't even believe in working hard these days is what this is. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things I often say is, because we do our app called Connect, shout out to everyone that watches Connect, I say you gotta work hard and you gotta work smart. But the best thing you can do is work hard and work smart. Mm-hmm. Do both. But apparently Americans don't even believe in working hard anymore. So pull up this article from the Wall Street Journal, if you will. So Americans basically started losing their faith in the American dreams in the early 2000s. Maybe 9/11 had something to do with that. I don't know. Today, 50% are pessimistic about the state of America. 50% are down on America. Realtors, who are basically talking to all the people out there on the streets, say in order to live a middle-class life and buy a home in 2024 now, Americans need to make $120,000 a year collectively as a family. Pretty interesting. But I'm saying all these numbers as a premise to talk about sort of the declining ideals that are in trouble here in America today. So this is an article. Pull up that article from the Wall Street Journal, by the way, Malik. Here's an article. America pulls back from the values that once defined us. We've done this story here on the SOSCAST before, but I think it's really important for the ladies weigh in on this, okay? So here are the categories, if you can show those images of the categories that are all declining. So first and foremost is patriotism, right? Do you have that, Malik?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Patriotism on the decline.
Wow.
Religion on the decline. Having children on the decline. Community involvement was up, now on the decline. The only thing that is up is trying to make that money. Now listen, as someone who believes that make that money, save that money, I'm not going to object to that. But the whole point of making that money is so you can do all these other things and have options in your life. You know, one of the things I often say is that money doesn't just live in a vacuum. You don't make money and be like you do it to start a family, to be out, to be with your friends. The best thing you can have in life are good relationships, whether that's with your family, your friends, your colleagues, everyone around you. So go back to that chart one more time, if you will, Malik. These are the ideals that made Americans great. Dare I say, make America great again before I get canceled. We'll see. But it takes sometimes a wake up to be like, guys, I don't know if we're on the right track right now. And I want to get your ladies' thoughts on this. Patriotism, down. Religion, down. Having children, down. Community involvement, down. Money, a little bit up. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. When you see all this stuff happening here in America, Amy, you weren't born here in America, okay? Nat, you were born here. You were born here. You were born here. You were born here. So we'll start with Amy. Amy, you're not even American. But I feel like you're going to crush this response. When you see these answers, this is what's going on in America. Could you imagine if these were the things that were happening in Australia? I think that would be like a guys, hold on, wake up call, what's going on here? When you see these things, these lack of ideals that are declining, how do you process this?
I think a portion of it, when you talk about patriotism, that could be put down to like poor leadership, especially in recent times. And we have had a very progressive, kind of push on the political side. And honestly, some of our leaders have done not very respectable things. And that can get to the psyche of, the American people. And I think that it really has. When you look at the way spending has been, funding these wars in other countries, it makes sense that patriotism is down. But I don't think the answer is to sink to that level and stay there. The answer is to actually do something about it and say, hey, if it's already this fucked up, it's probably only going to get worse. So what are we going to do about it? And so for me, that's what I'm passionate about with the American dream, is the people who are waking up and realizing the lunacy that's taking place right in front of us. When you look at the camp of people who are talking about, wanting to have children, that declining, the family unit. There's two camps of people with that. One camp of people who believe that it is literally, detrimental to a woman to have a child because it's going to take away from her career. Because again, what's the thing on the uptick? Money. We've become so obsessed with materialism that we're forgetting the things that really, truly matter. On the other hand, there's women such as myself, up until a few years ago, I didn't want to have a kid. Not because I didn't want to have a baby. Of course I want to have a baby. But when you look at the state of the world, and until you get informed enough to actually feel empowered that we can address these issues, of course you're going to sit there in dismay and be like, I don't want to bring a child into the world. So some of these things I can relate with. It's very evident why it's happening when you look at culture. But the question is, what are we going to do about it now?
Well said, Amy.
Good stuff.
Pull up that chart one more time. So Astrid, when you see what's going on here, you just said that you're engaged, you want to have kids.
Yes.
Out of all these things, what are you most shocked about? The patriotism, the religion, the having children, the community involvement, or the money? What's most shocking to you?
Honestly, probably the community involvement. I mean, for sure, I've seen the correlation between like the patriotism declining because, let's be real, like you said, right now, how the government's spending our money. Like, I think most people can agree, like, this is not, why are we not funding America first versus other places, right? And where everyone stands, I mean, that's up to you, but that's kind of how my take on it is. Like, why are you not funding education of our youth, especially after the pandemic, where I think they're saying IQ has dropped in recent years because kids, I do think a large part of it, they're not getting as much support and need at such an early age. But the community involvement, that's exactly what I mean. I feel like everybody's so out there for themselves, so selfish. I got to make money. And what I tell people on my, when I do coaching sessions is that money is simply just energy. Like, you literally have to give it away to have any value from it, right? You're buying an item or you're buying a vacation, you have to literally spend your money in order to get any value. So that's something I try to teach people to say, okay, change your mindset. Yes, it's important to make money, but what exactly are you making money for? It's to, like you said, experience new things, to travel, to try new foods, build relationships, to go out on dates, to hang out with friends, etc. And I think that's the community involvement aspect, going back to my answer, why I think that's a shocker is that everybody's so out there for themselves that we're not spending time trying to help each other when I think that will provide more value to our lives.
So one time I was in Compton.
Oh,
okay.
I'm
and
from
I was
LA.
doing, when I first started doing SOSCAST, what was called Sauce Talks Money at the time, which is all my socials, I was interviewing, I was just running around LA, just interviewing everyone. I was on Venice, I was in Santa Monica, I was in Compton, just interviewing. And this one guy who's big ass Mexican dude, might have been a family member of yours, I knew, but just big.
I'm from LA, so it might be.
Okay, there you go. I was like, what's going on around here? He goes, yo, bro, let me tell you about what's going on here in Compton. He's like, everyone's so selfish these days. I said, what do you mean? He goes, and keep in mind, this is in 2015, 2016. He's like, yeah, you heard about these selfies? Yeah, these selfies is making everybody selfish. And it sounds so ironic at this point. We're like, okay, at the point I was like, oh, damn, homie, hit me with the selfish. But I realized that social media has made a lot of people being like, yo, fuck everybody else. I want to win the cool contest. I'm going to do these selfies. Remember when duck lips were a thing? Was it duck face?
Yeah.
Every girl I thought was doing quack, quack or doing crack. I don't know what they were doing. But it turns out that was just, hi. Okay, I remember when Jamie Foxx did that back in the day. But the selfies have made people selfish. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of the community involvement that you were talking about, that selflessness and giving to others is paramount to who we are as Americans, okay?
Well, and it kind of ties into also just having kids. It's like, I mean, you see a lot of these podcasts nowadays, it's like men versus women in terms of dating, etc. And again, we're getting so against each other in terms of women are like this, men are like this, that we're not forming, and I keep saying this every time I probably come on here, it's like we're not forming meaningful relationships, therefore we're not wanting to have kids, right, to settle down. And let's be real, the human race is designed to procreate, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think in China, they're begging people, well, not begging, but they want people to come over to, because of their one-child policy. Now they have a problem where the older generation, there's no one new to take care of them later on.
Yeah, there's a lot of great point, by the way. There's new articles coming out there where the government is basically like begging them to have more kids.
Yeah,
and it's
do we
supply
want that
and demand.
In America? Like, we're gonna. I mean, that's a whole problem right now with also Social Security. It's like we are funding. I mean, I see my paycheck. I work 9 to 5. Going to Social Security. I'm like, again, I want to take care of my elders, but eventually it's going to get to the point, if we're getting lazy, if we're not wanting to work hard, if we're kind of giving up on having kids and having a family, then later on we're going to see the results of that. And I mean, we're seeing it right now. Are we going to be able to fund Social Security? I don't even think so.
Well,
right? They say in a couple of years or whatever the
just to give you perspective, this is kind of the world I'm in the financial world. They're basically saying what might happen is that there's going to be a 25% reduction in cut. So if you're getting $2,000 a month, boom, now you're getting $1,500. Life just got a little tougher right there.
Yeah.
But you'll still get it. But you crushed that answer. Congratulations for all your community
It all ties in
involvement.
together is my point.
And like I say all the time, the purpose of this show is to get together and, agree, disagree. It's all good, but not hate each other. Not try to dunk all over each other. So Janelle, the lovely Janelle, she's back. She's doing her thing. Pull up this list one more time because I want to get her perspective on this. She just said community involvement. Out of all these categories here, what stands out to you the most that is sort of like, holy shit, what's going on here in America today?
I would say the same thing, community involvement. But also freedom is a catch-22 because if you're giving freedom to a whole entire nation, this is why the problems are presenting themselves of people wanting to identify as different genders, right? Because they're using that same word, but it's my freedom. It's my freedom. Well, the country is declining in certain aspects because of that freedom as well, right? So we can't really say like now we have to be socialist and not give anybody options, but that is one of the contributing factors, right? Everybody's utilizing that word for their own personal preference. So people aren't wanting to have as many children, or that data is a reflection of that. Also because there are more women that are identifying as men, and there are men that are identifying as women. So as you said, it all ties in together. So patriotism, community involvement, I'm not sure what else was on there, but it all ties in together with that as well.
By the way, Nat, when I take her out to the club with me in Miami, there's always the ladies' room is always super packed.
Yeah.
And the men's room, we get in, we get out, we take a piss.
Do you identify?
Nat will identify as a dude for like 5 minutes.
Same. They let me in.
Use the men's restroom.
Yeah.
Nobody believes her, but what are you gonna pat
I will
it down?
say in the clubs, the
And then
girls'
she
rooms
gets
are the
in there,
best to hype each
she's
other
a lady,
up.
but for 5 minutes.
Yes.
And I constantly have conversations with people is like, can I just identify and self-identify and then unidentify?
Of course you
And
can.
like the fluidity.
Yeah.
And there's people that are like, yeah, of course. Sometimes you feel like a man. Sometimes you feel like a woman. You just identify. It's
Or
like,
just do non-binary. It's
okay.
easier. You can just
Non-binary.
float from bathroom to bathroom.
But what you were saying also about the
Oy vey.
selfie, the selfie and like everybody becoming so selfish, that's one of the things. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is religion. It's in the Bible where people, as we come to the end of times, are becoming more and more selfish. So instead of helping each other out, I mean, it's a blueprint, right? It's a blueprint of life. People are now just caring about themselves instead of reaching out to other people and helping them also.
And just to add to that, the religion, because I don't like to touch. I'm religious in the sense I'm Christian. That's what that's my faith. I believe in God, but I don't like to touch upon that because I'm like, okay, everyone believes in their own thing, and I respect that. But I will say is because I've had relationships where I would say, if I'm going through tough times, like God has my back, I'm gonna pray, to him and get through this. And I would have my partner say, don't talk like that. That is like, why are you saying that? That's not helpful. I don't believe in God, whatever. And I'm like, well, that's fine what you don't believe in, but that's what I believe in. And the reason why I point to that is because the decline of religion is not alarming, but it does show some issue, because I think what's rooted in religion is a lot of like morals and values. And I think if we kind of lose that as well, and not to say you have to be Christian to have morals and values, but that's what a lot of people end to tie their morals and values to, is a religion, their faith. So if nobody believes in anything, then what is the phrase? It's like, if you don't stand for anything, you fall for something. Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's like you can't be so open-minded that your brain falls out. Like how open-minded are you going to be before your brain literally just...
Yeah, the word that I think we're looking for is tolerance. At what point we just tolerate anything? So Patrick, PBD, our CEO, he has 4 words that he's basically family lives by: leadership, respect. One of the 4 is tolerance. And recently, everyone's been so tolerant. Oh yeah, sure, yeah, you can be a man, yeah, you can be a woman, yeah, you can be a unicorn, whatever you want. We just become so tolerant that it's like there's a slippery slope here. Now, the exact opposite is being completely intolerant, and I don't think anybody wants that, but there is some balance there with the tolerance thing. So, Laura Padrino,
I'll just
you know,
jump
when
off.
we go back to this list, were you going to say something on that?
I was going to jump off the tolerance, because tolerance within the guidelines, you were talking about parameters and this with truth. The fact is, we've thrown truth out the window. So the fact is,
Preach, girl.
We can still be tolerant. That tolerant is not necessarily a bad word. It's turned into a bad word because we're tolerating things that come outside of truth, because everything is your truth and my truth. No, there's objective truth.
Yes.
So that's the thing. And then
Yes.
also back to what you said in terms of the blueprint. Where do you find truth from? What I believe the girls are saying they believe, is that the truth comes from the blueprint being the Bible. Now, it has to come from something. I believe that. I think a good amount of people believe that, especially people that started this country that we're saying is so great. So if you want to go back to the question in terms of which one I find the most startling or staggering, just to give a different answer than everybody else, the having kids one, you mentioned a point like, yes, I even myself was like, for 1 second, like, how am I going to bring a kid into this horrific world? But the fact is, and Pat says this all the time, like, no, we need to be overproducing.
Yes.
The ones that have our brain still in our head that we're not so open about, and did it fall out? That was good. We need to be having more, because we're going to, and Charlie Kirk said this the other day too. He's like, the fact is, there's going to be a bunch of us, and they're either killing their babies with abortion, which is a whole nother thing that I can talk a whole lot about if you want me to, or they are having non-reproducing sex, which they're not reproducing is the point. And so we need to with reckless abandon. And so the having kids one, look, if, like you said, if we idolize money, I can't work and have a kid. How can I do that? So money is more important than a family, right? Because that's what the world says, or that's what whatever.
But also feminism plays a big role in this, because so many women are trying to take on that male role. Like, I want to be the CEO. I want to be, a hardworking woman. So it's exhausting, obviously, and women were created differently than men. And it's not to say that women should not have their own careers. I think it's very empowering for a woman to have careers, her own career also. But that also is a contributing factor to the decline in that as well.
I agree with all of you. If you want to be honest, I think religion is one of the main one. Strictly because if you can't find a place where you can find peace, you can't believe in something bigger, and you can't believe in things that you can achieve on your own, and you find that peace within yourself, how do you expect to do anything else? Right? If you don't have a God to a template of what is good and what is helping people be better, I think that loss of identity, that loss that people are identifying for different things, a unicorn, this and that, is because they don't have any type of structure. And a lot of that structure comes from religion. And this is not about, you have to, God, and if you're not a Bible thumper, you're going to go to hell. It's not about that. I think it's about more so finding something, someone, a higher power that you can believe in to do all these things. Patriotism, make money, come here, create a business, come here, reproduce. What's scary is, you have women come and they reproduce, and then they're like, I can't take care, so I'm going to kill the baby. If you would have faith, maybe you would say, hey, I'm going to have this baby and take care of this baby and figure it out. If you're going to have faith, right, in the bigger power that you're going to, improve in your life, things would be different. So I think that loss of faith in all aspects is a really big problem in the world. And I'm not saying like, I'm the most holy girl in the world, for sure. No. But at the end of the day, I do go to church. That's a place that I find that at the end of the day, everybody in this space is sinners, and we're trying to get better. And I think people not having a place where they feel like, hey, I can relate and I want to get better is a really big problem of why we're not able to evolve in a lot of these things that are shown on
But would
that
you guys
board.
agree that most of our leaders right now are pretty much socialists? In Cuba, when socialism took over, one of the first things that they removed was churches and religion. Why? Because you take the faith away from people.
That's all you need.
You destruct.
That's all.
Whoa. If you like that one, click right here to watch the full SOSCAST. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.